They still put red onions
all of the
and
salty
tomato,
sauce.
dude. Bastards.
Welcome everybody. Today we're gonna die to a wyvern.
They put lettuce and tomato?
Tomato and red onion.
What the heck?
Y'all heard me say it, right?
Yeah.
All right, thank you everybody so much for showing up for our next session of D&D. I am your humble dungeon master. Last we left off, our intrepid heroes had finally made their way to the guild hall after being accosted by the city guards for traipsing around town with a corpse tied to their horses. So they will be facing the consequences of their actions. And just for a little more insight to the story, since we're picking up in the middle of the campaign, so to speak, the city of Alandril is currently under threat by a floating obsidian citadel that is controlled by a mysterious shadowy figure who has recently been alluded to in one of our party's research. And the citadel is a font of undeath and chaos, and is kind of feeding. Yeah, well, is that on?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
So the Obsidian Citadel, and so it's spreading undeath, causing all kinds of chaos in the farmsteads and small areas, small towns around Alandril. And it is a precursor to a greater threat, which the higher-ups, the king and whatnot of Alandril, and the upper echelon of the members of the Guild of the Iron Lions have information about due to previous events. And so, our party is making attempts to fortify and curtail some of the efforts of the agents of the Obsidian Citadel in order to safeguard Alandril and to hopefully keep everything from just turning into a giant steaming pile of dragon poop. So, with that out of the way, we return. Probably be helpful to have the city. Is this the city map? That's not the city map. One second. The city map would probably be a little more helpful. That one, right there. Oh, if you don't mind, sirs. There we go. Perfect. Appreciate it. So, last we left off, our heroes were at the main guild hall, and they had just witnessed some interaction between Galen, the vice guildmaster, a paladin of some renown, and a fellow by the name of Rivelac, who the first introduction to him was just made to our party just last session. The Aquilin, the captain of the flying galleon, the Halcyon, kind of an eagle-like bird person with a mechanical arm and wing due to a nasty accident some years ago. So Rivlek had left in some sort of disgust and ascended to the Halcyon, leaving our party in the front hall of the guild hall in the company of the elderly kind of intake person, Delora, an elderly halfling lady who is versed in the arcane ways. She kind of peers at them over her half-moon glasses that sit kind of far down on her nose, on a kind of delicate silver chain that goes around her neck. And you can hear the soft scratching of quill pens in the background as she has animated them to take care of some of the more mundane paperwork for the guild. And that is where we resume.
So Galen's available now.
Galen, as far as you know, yes, Galen is available.
Do you think it's wise to go seek counsel after?
I mean, he's a little steamed, but I think now's a fine time since we're kind of under question for murder, and he can kind of clear our name out. So
You do make a point.
I think we have a right to be a little snippy. So yeah, let's head up. Good with that. Yeah, we'll walk on that.
Okay. You guys head up the grand staircase of the guild, ascending to the 3rd floor, which is the floor inhabited by the compass, the kind of upper echelon of the members of the Guild of the Iron Lion, whose ranks include Galen, Galen, the Lion of the North, Shrike, the Shrike of the South, a kind of enigmatic character, also the champion of the arena, who you guys have not interacted very much with. You also have Mogus Brightbeard, the captain of the Siren's Call, which is currently in port. That also functions as the Western Guild Hall for Alendra.
Oh.
He is a seafaring dwarf, which is kind of strange, but he is also a fighter of sailor of great reputation. And finally, we have Alther Skytree, an elderly wood elf druid who inhabits the great tree that functions as the Eastern Guild Hall. So those are the members of the compass. Rivelac also would have rooms up there, and the doors to Rolf's Tower. Rolf Silverbeard being our own Stefan's erstwhile master and guide in things arcane and eldritch.
Yeah.
Kind of a curmudgeonly, hermit-like mage who generally kind of keeps to himself, but he is one of only 4 people in Alendril who have been granted the rank of Archmage. So, powerful and influential in his own right, although he has very little to do with the day-to-day goings-on of the guild. So, you guys make your way up there, and you see the kind of large table that the compass uses as the conference table. Galen standing over it with his back turned to you. You see his kind of massive frame. He's not clad in armor today. He very rarely wears full armor to the guild hall or generally around the city itself. So he's clad in kind of a simple white tabard, simple belt around it, and just kind of see his huge frame blotting out the candle that's sitting kind of central in the table. As he's kind of hunched over, and you can see he's thinking deeply about something.
Hey, Galen.
Yes, yeah. Framastrian, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, how can I help you? I
So-
hope you didn't, you were too disturbed by Rivelac.
Well, we heard you guys arguing, but we're kind
was
of,
afraid
well,
of it.
we got back. We got the report to make.
Oh, well, good, yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
However,
what do you have to share?
we Donar found the body of a kind of important person, we've been told, for the guild.
Found?
The
Yeah.
town thinks we murdered him.
Yes.
Why do they think you murdered him?
We brought him in.
Yeah.
They said murderers typically bring in the dead like this.
Doesn't make a lick of sense to me either, but, you know, it's what they're saying.
I suppose I'm a little confused. So did you just had him tied to a horse and were just traipsing through the gate, or what was your...
What you have us do?
He's not wrong.
It's not our card. What do you mean?
No, he's not wrong. That's what we did.
Yeah, it's true.
You could understand why the city guard might not take kindly to just having a corpse on a horse. I'm sure you can see how that might be a little awkward for them, especially given the prevalence of undead around the city and things like that.
Should I be carrying the man?
It might have been advisable to potentially send a messenger ahead with notice of who did you say you found? Someone important? Who? How do you know he's important? How important?
We've
Is the king
been
okay?
we've been told that his name is Godfrey.
The,
You found Godfrey's dead. Oh dear. Well, that
no, that's concerned.
That
His
may
reaction- oh,
have a little more to do with your situation than the fact that it was a dead body. The fact that it apparently belonged to Godfrey Leroux, correct?
That is correct.
Yes. Godfrey was one of the king's closest confidants and personal friends.
Where things get a little muddy is we saw him alive no more than 24 hours before.
You saw it, and then he left your company, and then you found him on the road a couple hours later? Is
So,
that...
so it was him, but it wasn't him. It was kind of like him, but it wasn't him because he didn't recognize us from beforehand. But it was his same face.
Somebody was posing as Godfrey.
Really good wise,
Oh.
too.
The body we found
That
had been dead
is-
for a week.
The body
A
was
week, yeah.
yes,
Or 10 day.
It had been. They had attempted to hide it in a bush off the road,
I see.
and I tracked in through the trees near the area, and I found the location where he was most likely assassinated.
I see. So, let me make sure I get this straight. You encountered someone posing as Godfrey, but
He,
for
he
all
saved us from a very large skeletal knight bearing the sigil sigil of something close to the worm that walks, but not the worm that walks.
I believe I know of who you speak. You did well to make it out of there alive. I apologize that that our no, truly, I am grateful that you made it out. I apologize that your endeavors have taken you so close to that particular entity. I believed he was erstwhile. He was contained elsewhere for the moment. Apparently, that is not the case. So
We encountered him in the ruins of Framastrian.
Accurate.
I see.
And time stuff happened.
And time, what do you mean?
It was like a week that we were in. We were in there for like
Couple
25
hours.
minutes, an hour, a couple hours, yeah. And it was like a week that went by, a 10 day.
Oh,
Which also aligns
Wow.
with Godfrey, excuse me, being found dead. He must have come straight from killing Godfrey to saving us.
interesting. So,
Within a 10 days.
just make sure I've got this timeline straight. Godfrey.
It's not straight. It's all wibbly wobbly. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, well,
Yeah.
but be that as it may, as straight as we can make it, I guess. So you guys set out to Framastrian to do some investigating. Something with. Did you have a particular purpose there, or were you just?
We were trying to raise an associate of ours that we sent to scout south of Alendro, southeast.
I see.
Here you
So
go.
you guys have been picking up some agents and
It was a bandit that we
Right.
set straight.
well,
Reformed.
I suppose if it you know we can't all be paragons of virtue. We all have to start somewhere. He really is reformed. I have no issue with that. But no, that's excellent. I'm glad you guys were able to make progress that way. So you were following this associate. Had you what
Yeah,
what
so-
gave you cause to?
His name's Gareth. We
Gareth.
sent him southeast. Didn't hear anything from him, so we went southeast. Found footsteps that we believe belonged to him
At front of us.
at front of
At
cost.
Front of Cost,
Followed
okay.
in, did not find him, and then Big
I see.
Skeleton came in after.
So you were investigating the ruins to see if your
Yep.
associate
Was dead or had lost,
something had
yeah.
happened to him. That
Yeah,
I
yeah,
understand. Okay. And then while you were investigating that, some sort of time shenanigans happened,
Apparently.
and you were accosted by the large skeleton, and then saved by somebody who was Godfrey but not.
Yeah.
Is that a
That's about
rough
it.
estimate? Okay.
Yep.
And about a week, a 10-day before that, apparently the real Godfrey was murdered and his likeness stolen by whoever saved you.
That is what
That's
we
what we're
believe.
thinking.
Well, that's certainly a little bizarre. Were you were you able to get any particular information or anything? I know you guys have you've had no prior contact with Godfrey. He tends to stay within the palace, especially in his lab. Especially the past few months, he's been rather.
The Godfrey that we talked to, that we found out is not the real one,
Right.
spoke of coming here for archaeological surveys and studies of Franakas.
Which does not, how does it say? His journal validates his statement. So it doesn't make any sense to me.
So the make sure I'm on the same page. The real Godfrey was sent out because he is a known senior member of the Archaeologist Guild.
Yes.
So they sent him out to do some surveying on this ruin. He was accosted on the way. He was slain. His image stolen, and then the person who stole his image saved you.
Wasn't he being forced on a specific task to go down to check out Franakas by the king? Wasn't that something in his journal?
Yes.
That's something that we found too. Mm-hmm.
It's not entirely uncommon for the king to hold some to encourage Godfrey to get out of his laboratory and help the Archaeologist Guild. As an excuse, he did tend to spend up to several months cooped up in there with his alchemical experiments, trying to recreate lost recipes, new applications, things like that. And, sometimes he was rather successful, but, a man can only go without light for so long. So part of that is definitely the king. We can't all be kobolds. The king, it was not uncommon for him to encourage Godfrey on some of these expeditions. He did have a rather unique talent for making his way around some of these ancient traps and things like that, just because of the unique way his mind seemed to work with some of those things.
Used to.
Well,
That would be the past tense. Mm-hmm.
So, I can. It appears to me that it may not be just the presence of a corpse on a horse, but the fact that it was recognizable as Godfrey that may have gotten you in some trouble. As the king's close confidant and one of his oldest friends, naturally, any bodily harm to him is of concern to the city guards. Were you able to discover how he was slain?
Right off the trail there was a few tracks of where he parked his cart. He went to a tree to relieve himself, and then another set of footprints coming up behind, and a scorch mark on the floor.
Scorch mark.
Right behind him.
Right behind. Was there any sort of burn on the body?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So some sort of magical impact.
Very close range.
Very close range. Oh, interesting. Well, that is certainly concerning for a man of Godfrey's caliber to be taken that way.
We tried to go through his notes and try and find somebody who may want to do this to him. As a king's confidant, it might be a lot of people. But do you know anybody that might have wanted Godfrey dead?
Godfrey personally, some of his escapades were the envy of some of the other alchemists, not even in Allendrill, but in the region. Many of them have been trying to recreate the healing vapors that he kind of perfected on his own. And he was privy to various ancient recipes and things like that are considered dangerous for the general public. Ancient potions, things like that.
So a lot of people.
Hey, it's definitely possible. Yes, Godfrey
Narrows
was.
it down.
He had his fingers in many pies.
No names strike you. Do any names strike you?
As specifically aggressive to Godfrey? Not particularly. As I said, he did spend much of his time cooped up in his laboratory, so
Hard to make enemies if you don't leave the house.
that generally, and he generally traveled alone to do these surveying sites, so it's unlikely to me that it was some sort of, gypped apprentice or something like that, because he was rather close with his knowledge. Which just makes this all the more concerning that no clear motive can, we can't quite find a clear motive.
So what would you suggest we do?
Well, what did the city guards tell you?
Don't leave.
Don't leave. So I imagine, after some examination of the body, that the king may send for you to speak of what's happened.
Can we go now?
It would not be wise at the moment to approach the king in this circumstance, given that you were the ones who brought Godfrey's body.
But we have nothing to hide except hiding itself. No?
Calm down, Roosevelt. Be that as it may, the king may not be in the most forgiving mood. He may not be willing to listen very well at the moment, having just heard of Godfrey's death.
Surely he'll listen to you.
It is possible the king may listen to my counsel. However, given their relationship and how much the king valued him, I would wait until the king summons. If you wish it, given the circumstance, I will accompany you to the palace.
To this voice. To have him come with us.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, a representative.
Very well.
When we mentioned the skeletal entity,
Yes.
Yeah.
you seem to know some things about. It nearly killed us quickly.
I'm not surprised. In fact, I'm surprised you made it out. That, given your description, sounds remarkably like one of the foremost generals of the Obsidian Citadel.
There's generals of the Obsidian Citadel.
Yes, and this entity in life was known as Slaith. He was a paladin of some renown, and devoted and powerful in his own way, but he was corrupted. He fell to the darkness, and has become a extremely powerful instrument of evil.
He sounded like he had an evil name when he was alive.
Really?
No, you have to somewhere. You're sorry. In the middle.
We can't always choose how we're named.
I can.
Do you write down what the guy's name was?
Not was
Lemilligus?
Kobold,
Lemilligus.
but it was.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Lemilligus.
Yeah.
Does the name Lemilligus mean anything to you?
Lemilligus.
He did say that.
He was looking for Lemilligus.
I was
Looking
accurate.
for Lemilligus. I can't say that name has any particular meaning for me. I've never encountered somebody named Lemilligus in all my travels.
The person
Sounds-
we believe to be Godfrey said that Framastrian was a ruin for the body of Lemilligus.
That's certainly possible. I myself don't have very much knowledge of Framastrian. It was a ruin that one of our guild spies came across and that marked on there, and so it seemed like it could potentially be important, hence why it was on the map. But we hadn't sent anybody to investigate any further. It wasn't a priority. We have more pressing matters.
With that being said, we have been doing what you have requested of us.
Excellent. Yes, if you wouldn't mind finishing your report about, I feel like we kind of started at the end of it, so if you wouldn't mind sharing some of what you've accomplished, because it sounds like you've gathered some allies, maybe cleared out some spaces and reestablished them as forward operating places for Alindra.
We helped, what's the word? Libertize? Liberate? Yeah, we helped liberate a circus.
The Carney.
Mm-hmm.
I'd heard something about a circus out there.
That was us.
Out a few days ago. That was
That was us.
fascinating. Well done. There was kind of a hullabaloo, but I hadn't gotten over there to see what it was all about, and by the time I remembered it, it was already packed up and gone. So there was something afoot there.
No, it was a shadow, not a foot.
Would you care to elaborate?
It was a guy's shadow that was being evil. Mm-hmm.
Fascinating.
But we stopped it.
The circus master had become a slave to his shadow.
That's
What he said. Mm-hmm.
I see. Well, that's certainly a story I haven't heard before. But you were able to resolve it.
We were successful, yes.
Excellent. Well,
We
hopefully
banished the
he
shadows.
didn't keep better control of his shadow.
So that's going. We're still going in reverse here. So that was just before.
Just start at the beginning.
Okay, back from the beginning. We the first thing we did was we went to Sundercliff. We found.
Okay. Yes. That's been kind of a hot spot for bandits for quite some time.
And that is where we found our confidant Stephen. He was adopted there.
Jeffrey.
I thought you said
Jeffrey.
I thought you said his name was Gareth.
Garrett.
Gareth.
Yes. Mm-hmm. That's what we said.
There was definitely a few things afoot at Sundercliff. There was, in the basement, the leader of the bandits was doing some very cultist things. He was about to sacrifice a woman, and we stopped him, but he did escape before we could capture him.
I see.
He
did
wore the worm that walks, right?
Yes.
I believe so.
He had that on there.
that
and
close to Alindra?
Yeah, and that was Greenleaf that we saved.
Yes, we
And
sent
brought her back.
Relief back.
That was her.
That was us.
Greenleaf, that was us.
Excellent. She's been the talk of the court recently. Of course, a fey elf making an appearance in the palace and conversing with the king. Of course, it's kind of hard to hide that kind of news.
See, we bring people back.
Well, excellent.
And together.
Mm-hmm. Not dead. Except this last time, but it wasn't us.
Anyway,
Making it way worse.
the Sundercliff Watch was also where we found the ziggurat, correct?
It was a ziggurat.
Okay.
But when
Yeah.
we
I thought we unlocked it.
activated,
Yeah.
But the whole top, turned into that, and then there was the ghost dwarves that were holding it down after like centuries. So they had like a ghostly form to them.
I
And
see.
they were the Legion.
Of the damned, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
they were the Legion of the Damned.
I
And in
see.
Dwarven culture, they basically fight on beyond death to serve in their afterlife.
I see. That is not a. Well, I'm not overly familiar with dwarven customs, to be perfectly honest.
I wouldn't.
No
mess
offense,
with
your
it.
people tend to be rather close with that kind of thing.
What do you mean by your penis?
I'm sorry. Are you just a really short human?
No.
I didn't think so.
Yeah, Legion of the Damned. They had a Dwarven Pact. There was divisions. There was the Storm Wardens. Fellhammer Battalion is who we came across.
The Fellhammer Battalion is who's at this ziggurat.
Yes.
I was.
Yeah.
One of the city guards had mentioned something about a silhouette kind of.
They are on
changing
our
with the
side.
opposite store. I assume that has something to do with the activation of. I'm going to have to send some scouts to.
Then we went to Mistwatch. We went into
Excellent.
Mistwatch Keep.
Oh, what did you? Were you able to secure the keep? That would
Liberate.
be
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
either way.
Half of it blew up,
Half of it
and
blew
then
up.
we encountered hags and they mentioned Titania as the Queen of Fairies, and her husband was Oberon.
We saved the frog who was being captured, or had been
From the Feywild. Or
He'd
Shadow.
been shackled in the basement,
He was from the
being
Fae.
used
Just
for
like
his
a,
power.
just a frog.
No,
It's
it was
a
the
real
king,
frog.
king of the frogs.
And his name
I thought it was a toad.
is...
Oh, he was a toad.
Was it a toad?
He was the reason why the mists of Mistwatch were so severe.
That
He was
those times.
gassy.
Yeah.
They were
Oh,
forcing
okay.
him to cause
I-
mists.
His
I
name
see.
is Thafranar, the Toad King.
The toad, yeah.
I see. There are many such entities in the Feywild. Given what you've described, I would suspect that one of them was abducted by these hags and used as some sort of magical battery for the regional magic that they were doing. Is that kind of okay?
They may attempt to re-inhabit that keep. Just beware.
No,
Right,
we have,
should
But
we?
there was a portal in the basement that
We-
she went through.
we made allies there.
And well, that's,
Remember
that
the,
is
the
true,
party that
but,
killed the Fogwarts?
but
Yes.
they
She just used plane shift. There wasn't a portal.
Oh.
You're thinking of the
Portal in
mirror.
basement.
No, there's
The
a
mirror.
mirror.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right.
that's it.
But we do have
Also,
allies
if
there.
you
We do have allies there. We met the people that killed the Foglets.
if you do send scouts to Mistwatch, beware of a trap door that we debarred.
Oh.
It's over there still. Just be careful. There's a door on the floor. Don't touch it.
Did we tell them?
No.
They're all right.
Okay, let's try to. Okay, so there were hags at Mistwatch Keep that
Yeah,
were keeping
killed.
a giant toad hostage
Yeah.
and using him as a magical battery. Am I
Assumed.
following you all so far? Okay.
There was also a real big fish that turned into a shadow.
Do you believe us with the man now? With the dead guy we found on the road? Like, come on, it's crazy shit
I
everywhere.
can't say that that's the most unusual thing that you've told me recently, but given the circumstances, there are a lot of forces at work, and the Citadel's influence seems to be even more insidious than we had believed. Now, back to trying to follow. So, there were hags
Yeah.
using a toad as a magical battery.
Mhm.
Right.
They mentioned Oberon and Titania for some reason.
They did. Yeah, there was a mention of Titania
So
being
you-
the Queen of Fairies
You
and her husband
talked to
Oberon.
the hags?
No, this was the Thafranar. Fill this in.
The toad told you
The,
about.
the told
Okay.
told us, I
He's also
believe.
an ally.
Was there anything specific about? Because I mean, Titania and Oberon have been.
Missing.
Wait, what?
That they're missing.
Titania and Oberon are just missing?
Correct. From what I remember.
I believe that was accurate. All I picked up was the names.
Well, that's certainly.
That's right.
I think that's accurate. I had
Nah,
the names, I
yeah.
didn't have them, but. But anyway, so past that though.
So what Daphranar told you guys?
Yeah. Okay.
Was that Oberon is responsible for creating basically the carapaces for the Fae. Right? Because the Fae, although they are creatures of creating great beauty and things like that, they themselves are unlovely to look upon, at least in their own eyes. So Oberon crafts faces and basically carapaces for them.
Okay.
And so what Thafranar had told you was that Titania is looking for her herald to retrieve Oberon's face and hands.
So Oberon's
Yes.
steel's missing.
Yes,
And she's looking for her herald to
yes,
find them.
and
Okay.
Oberon is not.
And
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oberon is not creating any more faces
Until that.
for the Fae because he is without his own face, and so.
That's correct.
Okay. So his face is missing and Herald is missing. That's okay.
Yes, yeah.
So we'll relay that. I was
But-
told exactly like that by Thafranar. And then past that, we met another bandit called the Raxidian the Witchblade. And he had an ogre named Oogie, who we believed was napped by foglets, which are these little fog creatures, kind of like a fog frog that was fighting.
Okay.
But the foglets were cleared because that's how the carnival happened. The carnival people stole Oogie.
That's how you got to the car.
That's how we got to the
You were
carnival.
helping the bandit that you
Raxidian.
ran into.
Yes.
Raxidian.
Yep.
Because his ogre was an ogre named
Yeah.
Oogie was kidnapped.
We cleared Mistwatch. He
By
put the note on the
foglets.
door that said, "Hey, can you help? Our ogre's been napped." And we then grilled him, helped him, and he's now an ally.
He has a voice.
Okay.
Very good voice.
What a not
Who
bad people.
has the voice?
Oogie. Yeah.
He likes to make people boogie.
This is
The
true.
ogre likes to. Okay,
Yeah.
well, this just keeps getting
He's got
stranger and
3
stranger.
goblins
He sings
on his
like
back.
oogie, oogie, oogie.
Yeah.
So you met Raxidian,
Yup.
who pals around with an ogre
Yup.
with a trio of goblins on his shoulders.
We did.
Yep.
You keep some strange company.
Yeah. Hey, friend. So that's where the carnival came in. Cleared the carnival out.
Fair enough.
Gideon was the shadow of the carnival
Okay,
master.
we're back to the carnival. Okay,
Yes.
gotcha.
Destroyed him.
Okay.
And then the carnival is now under control of the main guy again.
So it's back to its rightful place, and he
Yes.
apparently packed it up very quickly and got
He
out
is
of town.
also from the. I believe.
I don't think we should have said that. Because, like, his shadow is from the Fae.
No, he is.
So his
His whole
shadow
like carnival is from a different plane.
Yeah, the carnival's from yeah. His
So
shadow
he's just
is
not a guy with a crazy shadow.
no. His
Huh.
as he described, his shadow is a result of his ancestry.
So it's in his blood.
Yes,
Not his
because
shadow.
one of his ancestors was a shade.
Whoa.
Yeah, one of his ancestors in the Second Age.
I didn't know shadows could lay eggs.
Well, I mean, Umbrassar's laid eggs.
Continue.
Okay.
We just call that clearing out the tongues.
So yeah, then we returned Greenleaf, as we mentioned earlier.
Right, and yes, yes, we
She's back.
can confirm she's still at the palace. So
We went to the Frictious Weasel, which has some black pot fire ale, very good.
I think he's talking about the missions, though.
yeah,
This is part of the mission.
Okay. Right, proceed.
I remembered the name of my son, and that he's the paragon of faith.
You what
and-
now?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's big stuff.
I'm sorry, Framastrian, I didn't realize you had a family.
That's how good the ale was. It knocked it back into me.
That's
And
so
I
what's
had-
this paragon of what are you talking about?
I don't know. I just know it's paragon of faith. That's what I remembered.
Figure-
Yeah, so I had a figurine which I showed you earlier.
Okay, yeah,
That was
I
him.
remember. That was your son.
Yes, and we went
Like
to a
actually
statue.
your
Yeah,
son?
that was him. Yeah,
Oh,
it was of him. So we went to I believe we went to a statue in. Is it this statue? Is that right? We went to that statue in town, and there were these little hexagon areas, and that statuette I had fit inside perfectly. And there's room for 4 more, so we've been on the watch for those. Haven't found another.
I see.
But it locked in perfectly. I know stonework real well. That was, I mean, it fit like a glove, master craftsmanship type of thing. Couldn't identify how that's possible type of deal.
Okay. All right, so you're finding keys that go into a statue in the middle of the city.
Yes, for
And
some
you
reason.
just had one on you?
Listen, I showed you earlier. I came with it. Yeah.
You did. I didn't have any knowledge of that thing. Would you mind sharing a little more about what you remembered? Maybe give me a little more context. You guys kept coming at me with a lot of random stuff. Really,
I got drunk off the black pot fire ale, and then I said Milo, and I recognized that as my son, and I said the Paragon of Faith, and I just knew that.
Okay. So, when you say that, I need you to give me a wisdom saving throw.
Okay.
And
First
It's my
roll.
worst. Bang, it's my worst.
Oh.
No.
That's good.
10.
10. Okay.
That's average. Actually, I'd say it's pretty
do
big.
not. You do
Biggest
not.
roll I've ever seen.
Mentioning Milo's name, you do not recall anything else. However,
Yeah.
you do see there is a light of recognition in Galen's eyes. He
Whoa.
doesn't say anything.
Okay.
He doesn't hardly move, but you can kind of see
Okay.
something.
Cooking?
Something's cooking.
I love cooking. So, apparently there's 4 other somethings that go with that.
Excellent.
You do know what the inscription on that statue in the center of town says, yes?
I have no idea. I haven't been over to see that statue in quite some time.
It says, "Gather to me 5 virtues, and in the darkest hour I will return." And he had one of them.
Well, that's interesting. It's not what used to be written on that statue.
What used to be written on that statue then? You said you didn't remember. You
I
said
didn't
it'd
remember
been a
what.
while.
It's been a while since I've been to the statue.
What do you remember of what it was written before?
It wasn't bad. There was
Oh,
something.
it doesn't say.
There was something about finding pieces of a song, and there was a guy who tripped over. I don't know.
So,
This is statues.
after
feel
that,
like this-
I have to go see the king.
We're talking about an egg that fell over and cracked itself, right?
I
And then
don't.
it sang
I
the
don't.
flute and
I
all
don't
the
think
children
that's
went
what was
off the
on there.
city
I
and
think there
There
was
was something about rats.
but before the before the reset, as it were, there was a different inscription on that statue.
So we then ventured to Franacos. Saw the footsteps of, we thought, Gareth, the guy we sent over.
Right. Your
Went
friend
in.
you-
Whole place was a mess. Found a tree on the door with 7 gems on branches. There was an inscription on one of the walls that said, "Beware waking the king, for what follows in his footsteps is verdant calamity. Bring light to the chamber to awaken the king." And we were never able to complete that because big skeleton guy who you call Slaith came in and just started cutting us up like paper mache.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
And then you were saved by
This Godfrey
the guy
character.
who looked like Godfrey,
Mhm.
Then we found the body of
and then you
Godfrey.
found Godfrey's. Okay, and
And now here
now
we are.
you're here. Okay,
And now we're telling you everything, which is part of the main story. Mm-hmm.
That's it.
okay. Well, I
The last bit too is Vagelbrand, who's in the cart.
who now?
Vagelbrand in the cart was driving us around. She gave us these little coins that we can communicate with, and I will give him the list of names of
Okay.
things. So we can communicate freely with these people through the use of these coins. And we'd like either you or Delora to have one so that we can communicate on the go.
Oh well, that's probably a good idea. It would certainly make making your reports easier and possibly less confusing.
Doubtful.
I will give him.
Be that
mine.
as it may, I would
Because we're
recommend
at-
giving a. Do you have one of these on
We
you?
each have one,
No.
and we're out. We've given out 6.
I see.
I
So
say
are
you
you?
have mine for now.
I would recommend giving that to Delora.
Okay, I'll
I
give
can
mine.
give mine.
Okay.
Do you want to give yours or you want me to give mine?
She can give to Delora, and then I can give to you. And then you can find someone else in the courtyard to give yours to, and then Donar will hold on to his.
If Delora has one, I don't need one.
You don't want to talk to us?
It is yours specifically.
You can have mine. We call it Bitcoin because it's tiny. And it looks like a coin. Mm-hmm.
It does certainly. Well, it's got a lion on it. That's.
We won't
it's-
call you
it's-
too late.
It's made out, and that's.
Unless it's an emergency.
Or time
Fine.
stuff.
Or we get arrested.
Just try Delora first. She'll be able to help you with some of these
I
things.
think Marcus was the name of the circus guy.
Yes.
Marcus the Wanderer. I think that's circus guy because he's on the list.
That's correct.
Excellent. Okay. Well, that was certainly.
Well, we're off to go be tried by the king.
Before we leave, what would you and the guild want us to do next?
Well, your forays into specifically Sundercliff Watch and Mistwatch, Sundercliff, those are important strategic areas. They're both fortified areas from which we may better defend attacks against the city, especially coming from the Citadel. So, as far as priority, things like the ruins are not the guild's priority right now. you guys can explore those if you wish, but you really do so kind of at your own peril. The more pressing issue for the guild is places like the Redmane Redoubt, or resecuring the Broken Tooth Towers, things like that. That, like your first mission to secure Fort Virtue, those kind of established fortifications are going to be more beneficial to us in repelling the coming invasion. Then we might find some sort of powerful artifact or something in one of these ruins, but that's a long shot as far as the guild's concerned.
What about Darklight Tower?
Darklight Tower? That, in particular, is not so much a fortification as at least a previously abandoned wizard's tower. So, as far as high on list of priorities, that one's not particularly high. And yeah, so he brings out his own big map and
Big map.
so so you guys have secured Thundercliff Watch and Mistwatch Keep. Redmane Redoubt is known to be under the control of a local bandit warlord.
No doubt.
We don't know who he's allied with. That would be a particularly advantageous thing to reclaim, although it will definitely take some work. Being on close to the coast is a good fortification. Fort Greymore, last report we had from a scout down that way before they disappeared was under the control of a cabal of necromancers.
Whoa.
Jeez. Fort Farragut, the Wardens were the last ones to report on that, and Fort Farragut appears to be currently a stronghold for the undead. There's reports of many skeletons, zombies, and large shambling figures that can be seen over the walls. And of course, we spoke before about Heed's Ruin, which is the Knights of Heed are trying to reclaim. And that was previously where I believed Slaith to be stationed as the commander of Heed's Ruin.
If we just saw Slade.
Yeah.
Does that mean he runs well?
Most likely.
Or the Knights?
Yeah, I mean, if he was previously here and then made it all the way to the front of the cause, cut through that.
The Knights of Heed would be, if their castle could be reclaimed, would be a powerful ally in force.
We do know that he's not here right now.
Tied up at the moment.
Might be a better.
I don't think he's tied. Well, probably tentacled up.
Oh boy.
Calamari.
Well, hold on. We were in front of the cause for, you said what, like minutes, and it was a week.
10 days.
We left and he was in there.
Oh,
But
so
he might
we have
still
some time.
He might still be in there. Yeah. I mean, if he spent any amount of time, he's a few days at least.
It's going to be a couple 10 days for him to finish off that octopus.
No doubt. No doubt.
Okay. So there could be some time. What we could do is we could go to this northwestern area, secure this, that way we know all this is safe. Maybe use the trade routes that are having some issues with the wyverns. We could help out there, and then make our way east over here with new allies, if it has fallen.
I'm good with that.
Or,
I mean, if it
If
has
we can
fallen.
make it out of Allendale.
So
He doesn't
Heed's
have
Ruin
us.
is currently under the control of Slaith and his.
oh, so it has fallen.
Yes, and so the Knights of Heed are trying to retake it.
Oh,
That's
And
the
so
last
they've
report we
been
had.
waging an ongoing campaign, basically sieging their own fortress to reclaim it.
That's why you always need an escape tunnel. You know, if you build something too good, you need a way to get out and get back in. If you do it like this is why you guys lose stuff. Sorry.
Look, an order of overly zealous paladins are not really going to be thinking about escape tunnels.
Well, that's why you need an escape tunnel in the escape tunnel in case that escape tunnel gets collapsed or this, you know.
If only they had had a kobold with them.
There should be kobold paladins. They don't think about this stuff.
To be completely fair, I'm pretty sure they don't follow any of the kobold gods, so that could be a bit of an issue.
And yeah, we had reports of wyverns taking caravans from this sort of area,
Yes.
correct?
And the local businessmen and things that you talk to, through some of the rumors and things, speculate that they are nesting within the proper set of Vast Mountains. So that does come with the added potential for any of these things in that area to.
And we're in a cart, right?
I was gonna say
Like,
they could try to take our wagon.
I don't think they would be successful.
It would at least give us some time to set up a trap.
If they try and take Samson,
No, they won't take Samson.
they will have their head regardless of whether mine falls.
Have you seen a hawk try to pick up a pig? They try.
There are big hawks out there.
I mean,
We have
they-
seen one.
There are some very big dragon-sized wyverns.
I'm talking a hawk.
Could definitely pick up a pig.
Well, not a baby pig.
Galen, in your opinion, where should we head first?
Given your current experience, I would surmise that Redmane Redoubt may be the more appropriate place for you to venture to, especially given the uptick in wyvern attacks, especially the larger ones. It would be lovely to help the Knights of Heed. However, given how quickly Slaith was able to move, not being seen by the wardens or by any of my scouts, I would treat that with extreme caution. Because if you were to engage with them and be successful and Slaith was there, that could spell doom for you and for the remaining Knights of Heed. Thus far, he's mainly stayed out of that conflict because their siege has been relatively ineffective since the undead don't need to eat.
We shall heed your warning.
no,
Okay. Well,
let's go.
let's go see the trial by King so that way we can go up there and just keep helping. Show them that we're not murderers. We're not murderers. And you complete that too.
You keep telling me that.
Well, because everyone thinks that we are. We just murder the bad people.
And people who still goes.
It's on the bounty board. Someone stole a goat. They want it dead or alive.
Yeah.
We could knock it out if we have to wait here.
Yeah, we're bounty murderers.
Yeah.
We're
Mhm.
bounty murderers. I would advise you probably not to use that term in front of the king.
What is it called?
Do you have duct tape?
Well, I just,
You can make
especially
tape out of
after
a duck?
the death, after the death of his friend, which he, the city guard at least holds you in some suspicion for, and would pass that suspicion on to the king. It's probably not the best form to go around saying, "Oh, we murder people for bounties," or generally use the word murder.
Isn't that legal?
We euthanize them.
No. No.
I'm not saying it's not legal. I'm saying probably won't do you any favors in the king's mind.
All right.
If you're likely to take one life, you're just as likely to take another.
We blame Slaith for the murder of Godfrey, because most likely he did it.
Maybe.
We saw Slaith use fire.
I don't remember.
We did.
Yeah, he scorched the. You were predisposed at the
I
time.
woke up close to the door.
Yeah, he burned the octopus that he was fighting.
Was it like The kind of burn that we saw on...
It was pretty big burn.
Yeah?
Water fire.
It was much bigger than the wound that was on Godfrey.
Right, but the king doesn't know that. We blame Slaith.
I have no qualms with
I have no
I don't know.
No?
it.
No, I
I
don't
mean, he's
know.
a villain, so why wouldn't we put
It's a
him down?
possibility.
I don't want to.
Here.
I don't.
What, okay, he was dead like here, and Slaith came from here to go to front of the cause.
I'm more.
He
Con-
mu- Come on.
I'm more concerned about drawing away from the real villain who did kill Godfrey.
Okay.
I don't want to blame Slaith and then they don't think that there is some man impersonating.
That's
Godfrey.
fair. That's fair.
But what if the man who was impersonating Godfrey said that he was heading to Alendril? That he will meet us here.
What if he was a wyvern in disguise?
Something in disguise.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah. Could be a wyvern.
What if he killed the goat? No.
Then he's dead.
So what do we tell the king? That someone's
Tell him.
impersonating Godfrey. We believe he killed him with fire.
Yeah. Tell him what we saw.
I would be as honest.
Give him the journals.
All right. That's it.
Give him the journals. We read the journals, right?
If we try and deceive them and they see through that, we could be killed.
I legitimately think Slaith might have done it. Like, honestly. But, okay, yeah, we can, I think the Godfrey impersonator and the Slaith are in cahoots. Because he didn't even flinch when he saw him. I would have crapped myself.
What?
And that's evident by the fact that I crapped myself when I saw Slaith.
You think that maybe Slaith has an underling, maybe more knowledgeable or understanding?
I think
or-
Slaith is the muscle. I think Godfrey impersonator is the brain.
I can see
Yeah.
it. I can see this.
But we don't have any proof, no evidence.
So that's why we say possibility.
Possibility.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
If you have nothing for us, Galen, we will leave you to you.
All right, very well. Well, just make sure you stay within town until you are summoned by the king, and try to stay out of trouble. Though that seems to be maybe not an easy task for you, gentlemen.
We don't get in trouble.
You're the one I'm worried about.
I don't do nothing.
Yes.
All right.
If that's everything to your report, yes, you free to go. He kind of turns back around, and you can see him kind of mulling over some things in his.
Huge body.
Yes, it is huge body.
If you need to get anything off your chest as well, I'm always open for a listen.
It's kind of like a grunt of acknowledgement.
Okay.
So we just wait around.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we do like a bounty or something there.
Would that would require us to leave town?
I don't think so.
Maybe.
I think some of them are in town.
There's a local one, yeah.
How are we looking on provisions and potions?
I need a nap. I need a nap.
Yeah.
Food we're good on for sure. I have a
Yeah,
potion.
that's true. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
definitely.
I'm
Yeah.
You're definitely got that point of exhaustion.
tired.
I would try to go procure another potion or two to add.
I think all these are local.
That's it.
No, some of them that when they said like the treason guy, the people that kill people, maybe not local. But one of them's burned a local magic shop. One of them's squatting, which had to be local. One stole a keg of mead, which is probably local. If you know, stole a man's goat, probably local.
My only concern is if we're under suspicion of killing Godfrey and we go out and we have to defend ourselves and or kill someone else.
And we
Yeah.
use fire. yeah, there might be a little bit of a yeah.
So
Maybe
I
we-
say we just lay kind of
We
low
just
and
stay
wait-
off the
wait till
burn.
we're
Okay.
summoned.
Yeah.
We can get go in our room, have them sleep.
It's so weird. This guy that killed the goat was just hit with 4 fireballs.
Exact like
Right in the back.
Right
greater
in the
distance.
back.
Yeah, right in
We
yeah,
didn't
same
think you
score
could point
as
blank
Mark, yeah.
fireball somebody, but they figured out how,
They
and
literally-
it's
They
devastating.
compare the burns on the body. They're like, these are pretty freaking close.
They're like,
So we've learned the spell that killed him.
Don't ask how.
If the glove does not fit, you must quit.
yeah. So
So we're just good to wait.
yeah, I say we. What time of day is it?
Now,
It was morning.
yeah. So it's still morning after your
Yes, the king is.
meeting with you.
Yeah, I mean,
I can push my sleep, right? I have a feeling they're gonna summon us before I get a long rest anyway. So yeah, I'll wait. Actually.
At the very least, hopefully. We could go to the arena.
Could go to the arena.
or we can go to.
Do keep in mind that you are operating with a point of exhaustion and all of the deficits therewith.
Go to sleep. We'll wake you if we get called by the king.
Okay.
Good night,
The three
Donor.
of you
Good
go
morning.
while,
So,
is this when you want to go?
Yeah, I would see if
speak to
Ralph is
Okay.
available, and then
So
I
this
go do
this
that.
this is kind of when you guys do some of those individual things we talked about.
Yes.
All right. So you guys reconvene towards the evening.
Okay.
At the guild hall. Donar has awoken from his well-earned nap after finding important bodies everywhere, and you guys kind of come down the stairs from your guild-appointed rooms on the second floor, and kind of meet there, and you see, conversing with Delora, a younger man, clean-shaven, kind of short curly black hair, clad in blue, and he's got kind of a trumpet tucked under one arm, and he's kind of conversing with Delora, and Delora sees you and says, perfect, gentlemen, if you wouldn't mind, would you come over here to my desk, please?
hello, Laura.
Hello, Tink. Rest well, I hope.
I didn't sleep yet.
Well, pity for you. You may not be getting sleep soon. This is one of the king's heralds. He's come to fetch you to speak with the king about your incident. So, if you gentlemen would be so kind as to accompany him to the palace.
Let's go.
Raise Galen. Or do we need him at the moment?
That's up to you guys.
Let's go grab him. Yeah.
He did say he was.
Galen, we're coming to the king. You want to come?
Dolores all.
It's Donar.
But you gave him your coin.
Yeah, I know. I took yours.
When?
It's done.
You see Galen, and there's regret in his eyes for taking the coin. I'll be right down. He keeps the coin from spinning. The circular image of Galen's face kind of fades away, and you hear his heavy steps coming down the stairs, and he appears before you, clad in the simple white tabard.
Here you go.
You can tell he has cleaned up a little bit since the morning. His beard is his large beard is done in the braids that you were used to seeing him in, and the three symbols of the three deities which he serves are represented on the two strands of his braided mustache and the large central strand of his braided beard. And so he kind of gestures for you guys in the herald and indicates that he will follow along. So,
Let's go. Clear our name.
all right. So you guys make your way to the closest gate would be the northern gate, since there are no side gates for the central palace area. So you guys make your way through the north gate to the immaculately kept grounds that consist of the central area of Aladril. You see the almost white glowing cobblestone. It's pristine in shape. There's no broken stones or any bumps or anything. It's very, very well kept. All of the shrubs and everything are down to the most minute detail are kept in place. The air smells a little fresher, especially as you make your way kind of down the path past the large statue which you referenced earlier. And you all almost felt that there's, as you pass by the statue, there's almost a light song that kind of comes across your hearts for a moment, and then fades as you make your way closer to the palace, and closer to your meeting with King Vendrick. At the palace door, as you make your way past, there are two of the royal guards clad in their golden colored armor, which is the city guards kind of have simpler armor, right? That there's a lot of them, but the palace guards, the royal guards, while the armor looks the same, it's all clad in various shades of gold. They've got bright red plumes, things of that nature. Also in contrast to the Praetorians, who you guys saw some weeks ago, the king's personal guards. A couple of the royal guards, kind of silently open the door, and standing, awaiting you there, is a tall, thin, elderly man, kind of balding towards the front of his head, and he's kind of let it grow out, kind of like the monk. The monk circle, and this is Guilford, the major domo to the king. And so he kind of gives you all a small bow and dismisses the herald. Yes, I was expecting you, gentlemen. If you would follow me, the king is in the throne room.
Lead the way.
And please, no touching anything. Many of these things are very valuable and magically kept track of. And he specifically kind of eyes the kobold.
That's racist.
That is very.
That is actually
Yeah.
racist, man. Didn't look at me like that.
I've never had a Dragonborn try to run off with a priceless vase. Please tell me that you're not going to be the first.
No, most
Good. Well, as long as everything remains where it's supposed to be, we shall have no problems, at least for me. The king, however, is a different matter altogether. So, if you gentlemen would follow me, the king does not like to be kept waiting. And he kind of swirls around, and you see the tails of his coat kind of... He starts making his way down the large hall. You guys follow him up a short flight of stairs to a pair of very darkly stained oaken doors that silently open. And you can see once they open, on either side of the doors are members of the Praetorian Guard as you are entering the throne room. And so the Praetorian Guard, as you guys have witnessed before, are all clad in identical armor that Framastrian has identified as being some sort of adamantine alloy. It's all kind of a dull black color, and none of the Praetorians' faces are visible under their helmets. They're kind of a Corinthian-style helmet with the open faceplate, but under the faces you can only see darkness. And each of these guards, they've got a kind of like a royal blue plume that goes over the top of the helmet, and matching blue cloaks. And they're garbed with a large round shield, with a simple white chevron on it, and each carries a spear and a short sword. And they kind of go back to their posts as soon as the doors open and do not move. They don't even acknowledge your presence. As you guys approach down a velvet carpet that goes up the stairs of the dais which the adamant throne is placed upon, you catch your first glimpse of King Vendrick and of his personal protector, the Captain General of the Praetorians.
Ooh.
Who you notice by his, he's clad in the same armor, however he has a crimson red plume and cloak. And where the Praetorians' cloaks are clasped with one insignia of the Praetorians over one shoulder, his cloak is clasped on both shoulders, one of them indicating his rank of Captain General, the other indicating that he is a member of the Praetorians. And he's kind of standing slightly behind the adamant throne, and just stock still. You'd almost think he was a statue. You see kind of King Vendrick's kind of reclining back in his chair. He's kind of got his head down. Some of the wispy strands of his gray hair are kind of falling over his face, and he seems to be deep in thought. But you can see as you approach closer, there's a wetness on his cheeks, and kind of over the large hooked nose and the kind of regal chin, that there have been some tears that have been shed by the king. But on hearing you approach, he kind of gathers himself and adjusts his crown a little bit, since it slipped in his reverie. And yes, thank you, Guilford. That will be all for now. And Guilford just like bow to the king and turns on his heel and walks straight out. Doors closed behind him. So, you gentlemen are the ones I believe I have the pleasure to thank for bringing the body of my dear friend to me. Is that correct?
It's correct.
I see.
We found him on the road on our return to Allendrill, and found it fitting to bring his body.
I see. Would you mind enlightening me on the... Well, first things first. Who are you?
Framastrian Ironhide, a member of the Guild of the Iron Lions.
I am Stefan Strange, a member of the Guild of the Iron Lions.
Donor Gaibe, also a member of the Guild of the Iron Lions.
I'm Tink Kobold, also a member of the Guild of the Iron Lions.
Very good.
We're all
You,
lions.
you see kind of at the, kind of from behind the dais, there comes out like this, kind of a smaller, it's like a young boy clad in like simple black clothes. And he's got a parchment, like this really long parchment that's almost taller than he is. It's kind of, he's just scribbling on it, like recording everything that's happening. And so you hear the constant scratching of a quill on the parchment during this entire thing. Well, it is not due for a king to rush too quickly into judgment. However, much I wish to hold you accountable for the death of my friend, given the way that you brought him in. I will allow you to share your story with me. How did you come to find Godfrey's body?
I was the one who found the body.
You were the one who found his body.
Yes, sir. We had been traveling the southeast of Allendrill. We had stopped at Franakas. We came across a tomb there. We were trying to solve the puzzles and riddles that lied within. During our stay there, a large skeletal figure came in, accosted all three of my party members. We barely made it out alive. The only reason we made it out alive was because of Godfrey.
So he saved you.
Correct.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. There's a lot more. So, upon leaving, we all felt the strangeness from Godfrey. We didn't know if we could trust this man. Never met him. Didn't know who he was. But he had saved us. Ultimately he had saved us. He was short with us. He got his card. We were planning on meeting him here in Allendrill. But before we could say our goodbyes, he took off down the road towards Allendrill. So we got on a cart with our other compatriot and headed towards the city. We had noticed that from our time inside of the ruin, more time had passed outside of the ruin than the time we had spent inside of it. During our travel back, I stopped the cart because I noticed the foot was sticking out into the road.
Go on.
It was Godfrey's body. But it had been there for a week. We had just started traveling, and we had just seen him driving down the road.
So this was, what, a couple hours?
At least, maybe, if that.
And from your estimation, his body had been there for some time.
At least a week. At least a fortnight.
And the medical examiner said 10 days.
10 days.
Yeah, yes, that is what he had communicated to me.
In the woods not far from the body, I found tracks that resembled the same as his cart. I noticed 2 sets of footprints, one of Godfrey's, where he had stopped at a tree to relieve himself, another set that had come in from behind him, and they stopped just shy of where he had last stood, and a scorch mark on the floor.
I see. So you believe that is where Godfrey
That is where he was killed.
But the examiner believes that some sort of magic was involved in the death of my friend. So, it behooves me to ask, among you, are there practitioners of the arcane?
Yes. Can I step forward?
Being a man of magic, what, you think this was a spell, a device? Share some of your expertise with me. Help me understand what you're telling me. Because right now, I don't have any way to corroborate what you all are saying. You could have very well been saved by Godfrey and then murdered him. Which seems to be what some of my guards think happened.
From my examination of Godfrey's wound,
I'm sorry, I don't have time right now.
there is evidence of magic and or a magical item that could have very well caused this wound. The spell is unknown. I have not seen a wound or a school of magic that would cause this type of injury that I personally know of or capable of using.
I see. And would you be willing to confirm that under oath or under a spell that would compel you to tell the truth?
I have nothing to hide from you, Your Highness.
Excellent. Constantine! And so with that, the Captain General steps out from behind the throne and makes his way down the steps. The only sound echoing across the throne room at the moment is your own breathing and the heavy footsteps of Constantine as he makes his way down the dais, stops in front of you, and he holds out his hand, and from his gauntlet a white light erupts creates a magical circle underneath the entire party.
Okay.
So, if you guys wish to resist this effect, it is a magical effect. And
Disintegrate.
as Stefan is the only one who's actually sent it to us, any of you that wish may make a charisma saving throw. DC 17.
I'm alright.
No.
Nope. Okay, so you guys all willingly fail. Okay. Alright. And as the caster of the spell, Constantine does notice that. You can't see anything under the blackness of his helmet, but there's a slight nod of acknowledgement that you are all willingly submitting to the zone of truth. And he steps to the side to allow out of the way of the king's view. Now, mage, would you mind repeating what you just told me?
I repeat verbatim exactly what I said about 20 seconds ago.
Okay.
Because I don't remember verbatim what I said.
Fair enough. No. For the purposes of time and everything, it's perfect. So, with that, as you're the arcane practitioner, the king is under the effects of the zone of truth. That, as far as he and Constantine can tell, too many C's right in a row there.
Yeah.
That you guys have submitted to willingly. You, for your part, are telling the truth. So he turns to you. You, who found Godfrey's body.
Yes, sir.
Did you kill him?
I did not, Your Highness.
Dwarf.
Aye.
Framastrian. Am I correct?
Yes, sir. Vendrick, am I correct?
Oh my god. He's gonna kill us all anyway.
It's just on.
I would not push too hard at the moment. Forgive my directness in the circumstance. Did you have anything to do with Godfrey's death?
I did not.
I would be sorely disappointed if a man of the cloth, such as yourself, was privy to that.
I would be too.
You, small one.
Mm-hmm.
Did you kill my friend?
I did not.
Good.
What is this circle thing, by the way?
That?
Mm-hmm.
That is an enchantment, the zone of truth. Within it, you cannot lie.
Really? I like the smell of rotten pickles.
Your mouth's like so shut.
Damn it. I should have expected something like this. Okay, let's reread the spell, damn it. Okay, you willingly failed. So it does think like the smell of rotten pickles.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Okay, so yeah, you say that and it's, yeah, So yeah, that just comes out and you guys are all, well, you guys aren't too surprised by that revelation. Vendrick's a little confused, but allows it to pass. Not exactly the information I was looking for, but good for you, I suppose. With that, as you are the people who found Godfrey's body, and because of my concerns surrounding this, would the four of you be willing to do me a service?
Yes, Your Highness.
Aye.
I would like you to find Godfrey's killer for me. And if you can, to bring him before me.
Dead or alive?
I would prefer alive.
Okay.
anybody who you would suspect that would seek to do Godfrey harm.
Godfrey was a strange man, but he was one of my closest friends. He was a brilliant alchemist, and there are many who were jealous of his talents, but none of them had the spine to kill him in such a way. There were others who respected him as an alchemist and wished to learn under him, but he wasn't the most personable man. And so there may be potential students that may have hard feelings, but nobody specifically comes to mind as somebody who had a death wish for Godfrey. We all have people who don't like us, me especially, you can imagine. But when you got to go know Godfrey, he was a good man. So I can only imagine why. Was anything? Well, you wouldn't know. Was the body searched?
Yes.
It was. Did you find anything on the body?
I pull out the journal and there was two.
The journal and the logbook?
Yeah.
Okay.
I looked through these to see if there was any information that would lead me in the direction of identifying the killer of Godfrey.
I see. Well, the logbook should be returned to the Archaeologists Guild. I'm sure they will want to know whatever they can delve from Godfrey's notes. His personal journal, however, did you find anything helpful in there?
I didn't go too far to it. It has his recipe for his armor he was wearing.
That's why he was. You see that a look of realization kind of wash over the king's face. I regret that we parted so bitterly, but I understand his. I interrupted him in a project again, and that was one that he had been pursuing for many years. The creation of a new metal. He considered his magnum opus. I bitterly regret that we couldn't have spoke on that and worked that out before he left. I know he wasn't pleased with it. That's a shame.
It also contained his last location before Holocaust, no?
That was in the archaeologist.
Yeah, that's in the log.
Oh, okay.
It appears from my investigation or examination of Godfrey's body that the person who killed him knew of his weak point, per se. The back of his body.
He knew he hadn't finished his project. That's what you're saying.
That's what I...
But yet
So-
didn't take the project.
Well, that would say to me, gentlemen, that that's not what they were after them. Now, you said you were saved by Godfrey shortly before you found his body. Is that correct?
That is correct. And that person told us that they would meet us at Alendril.
Right, and then a couple hours later you found Godfrey's body, and it had been there for a 10-day. That's correct.
Was he wearing different clothes?
Yes.
Yes.
And it was wearing different clothes.
They were wearing,
They took the car.
which you wouldn't have recognized Godfrey's clothes, not knowing him.
Well, we're
No,
saying,
like,
no, yeah.
Between the Godfrey
No,
and
but
Right.
if on this train of thought I'm following, if that was indeed not Godfrey,
Yes.
because those times don't make sense to me, then you wouldn't have known Godfrey well enough to know how he would attire himself.
That is correct.
So
Also, the first Godfrey we saw, did not flinch at the sight of the massive skeleton that was killing us at the time.
that would be unusual for Godfrey.
I thought that was unusual in general. We all
He
were
was-
shaken to the core
He
seeing
was
that
always
visage.
more of an academic and avoided those kind of conflicts when he could. He did have his means to defend himself, but that was generally his last resort. He was not a man of violence. So, my friend, well, if he had seen you in trouble, Godfrey would have helped.
There was no sense of urgency on him as well.
That
He healed and started the conversation.
that is out of character for Godfrey. So I am suspicious that somebody has killed him and taken his face. What I'm confused about is why. Because nobody has appeared in my court wearing Godfrey's face.
I was going to theorize that the person who did this aim was to probably get closer to you.
I was wondering the same thing. But why not hide the body better? Why not come to court and speak with me? Wearing the face of my closest friend? It would be hard for anybody except for Constantine to intervene at that point.
They wanted the body from. They wanted you to know.
That makes it all the more pertinent and important, gentlemen, that you find the person who killed my friend. I ask this of you not as your king or your lord, but as a man grieving the loss of his dearest friend. And as the king, I do have the ability to grant you whatever reward your heart desires for this. But I will see the perpetrator brought to justice, with or without you. Now, I will gratefully accept your help. But if you choose not to pursue this, you may leave and there will be no consequences for that. If you choose this, it will be of your own free will.
Not opposed to it.
I would say we will do our best.
Pun intended, I've got the bone to pick with that big skeleton, so if they're in league.
Excellent. Good. Well, thank you for meeting with me, gentlemen, and for putting up with my current state of mind and with my questioning.
It is
I understand.
understandable.
I understand that my guards may have been a bit brash when dealing with you, and I apologize on their behalf. They're all on edge because of that blasted citadel, and some of them have inklings of memories, inklings of what happened before. Not everybody does. A lot of the citizens don't, right? But I do. I remember. Constantine remembers. And your friend there, Galen, remembers. And so some of the guards occasionally remember the horror that was the invasion of this city and how the city fell. It's a terrible thing to remember your own death. So, I would ask that you forgive them. Many of them saw their families torn apart before them. And so, they seek to prevent that terrible fate from happening.
All right.
That's all, gentlemen. Guilford will see you out.
Cabbage tastes awful.
Candidate.
Epstein kill.
Well, as we're exiting,
Yes.
I will look at Constantine and say, we use these coins to communicate. We will report anything we find concerning Godfrey to you. And I'll throw him a coin.
Catches it.
Okay.
Puts it in a pouch.
Okay.
And he doesn't say anything.
That's gonna be a fun conversation.
Yeah.
Is what I was.
We'll just assume, we just see a black hole. Like,
Hey,
it's
yo,
him.
we got him.
He's heading northbound on it.
You know, Framastrian and Stefan, particularly, give me a, let's see, religion. Religion would be fine. Give me a religion check. Give me an Arcana check.
12.
12. Okay.
Dirty 20.
Ooh.
Perfect. Dirty 20. Okay. There is, Framastrian, a powerful aura
Yeah.
surrounding Constantine.
Nice.
And it's strong enough that it just normally, it kind of tingles the cleric senses.
Nice.
In a way that's not entirely pleasant.
Oh, not nice.
There is some sort of dark influence affecting Constantine.
Yeah.
And it appears from the clerical knowledge and things like that, it is some sort of dark deity has directly taken a hand against Constantine.
Okay. Is it clear that is it influencing him? Is that what I'm picking up?
No.
Okay. Then yeah.
You could give me an intelligence check to...
That's religion's based off intelligence.
Yeah, there you go.
What the heck?
You could give me an intelligence check to try to determine what the
17.
17. Okay. It is a binding of some sort.
Okay, so something's...
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Stefan, you, with your arcane sense, you do notice there's kind of... It's almost like a vortex in the weave centered on Constantine. It's constantly drawing power into some sort of binding spell that's been placed on him.
Interesting.
And just from kind of how it's affecting the weave and constantly drawing on it, it is very, very powerful.
Jeez.
Okay.
Yeah, it's enough to trigger both of you to kind of take a slightly closer look.
Huh. Interesting.
Donar, he looks like he's really strong.
Where's his fancy?
I think there is a lot of shiny stuff here. And probably lots of pockets.
My hands are in mine.
That's probably good. With that,
I stole this. I stole this too. I also stole this.
the doors will kind of silently open once more. Constantine ascends the stairs to resume his post behind the king, who's kind of settled back into thought. The page retreats back behind the throne, and Guilford guides you out of the large dark oaken doors, which close behind you as the Praetorians resume their post. And Guilford is pretty silent until you guys get to the main entrance. The doors are not opened yet, and Guilford turns quickly on his heel to you all. I want to thank you all for the service that you've rendered my master.
You're welcome.
Godfrey was very dear to him. And as the king seems to think that you are not responsible for it, I hold no ill will towards you, but would like to thank you on his behalf for giving him the ability to bury his friend. And this might be in slightly bad taste, but nobody needs to know. He hands you guys a sack containing some gemstones as thanks for.
Huh? Got it.
And then he turns as the doors open, the royal guard open it, the afternoon light kind of glinting dully off of the golden armor. You guys proceed out, and Guilford returns back deeper into the palace.
I have no idea where to begin.
I think we start at that red main readout. Just start looking.
I mean, for Godfrey's killer.
Yeah, that's a tough one there.
His last location is the only thing I can think of.
And his last location in this journal was
Bon.
Bon.
Before Farmcross, yeah. We got to be near there anyways, given the location of Galen that he gave us, so maybe we take a pit stop there when we're around it. But Galen wanted us to go the readout first, correct?
Yes.
I think we head there now.
I agree.
Me too.
Let off some steam.
Right.
Vegelbrand's in city, yeah?
Bakerbrand is in the city.
Let's find her and then head out. If
Okay.
we're all good.
Sounds good.
All right. And with you guys leaving the city, that's going to be where we will end it tonight.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay, doke.
I am about to pass out. Thank you, gents. Good session.
next 2 weeks. I am in Orlando, so.
Oh, yeah?
Right.
Oh man.